Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mad Hatter, aka Ebony Maw, aka the Black Tongue. Welcome to Mad Hatter Radio, reporting live from the third dimension. And this go around, I don't really want to get into the whole this whole back and forth between, and I think I mentioned this before, but like this whole man versus woman, male versus female thing is just really getting out of hand right now. And you know, I'm gonna sit here and say it's definitely both sides because we're in this thing yin and yang. But from my perspective as a male, I'm seeing certain things, and I think even other reasonable people, reasonable women, reasonable whatever you call yourself, are seeing things differently as well. Um, so I wanted to talk about, even before I talk about that topic, I just feel like nobody listens anymore. We live in an era where we look for facts that already support what we believe. And then when we find those things, we become enraged, but to the point where it's not productive, right? And that's leading me into Tony Robbins, motivational speaker. And I think that's what he was trying to say about the Me Too movement. Recently, he has come under attack from the Me Too movement, and I don't really understand why. It's kind of ridiculous. But I think that one of the things that he was saying was to look at this movement and understand that with any movement, with any action in life, there's a reaction, and he was trying to get people to look at the reaction. So before I get into the depths of this whole situation, a woman basically got into a debate about victimhood with Tony Robbins. She was a person in the crowd during one of his speeches, and it seems like they got into a debate, and the internet caught whiff of it, and Twitter caught whiff of it, and Twitter went crazy. And before I even get even deeper into this situation, I just want to say that Twitter has become a crap show, man. Like Twitter is so like to me, I don't even understand why people want to get on Twitter. Like, yes, if you can find like people who think like you on like maybe if you like sports, or whatever the heck you like, maybe you can find a bunch of people, in your who think the same way as you. But like, if you're someone who likes debate, and if you're somebody who's into like, political ideas and theories, having people who think the same way as you is not, the way to go forward. And that's all Twitter has become, you know. So Robbins basically says repeatedly that he sees the importance of the movement, but he's saying that if you look at the other side, attacking and pushing all the time can be bad, obviously, basic laws of physics. So he used the example of a double-edged sword, you know, and what he did, and maybe he shouldn't have done this, but what he did, obviously he's a really big guy. He's probably like 7 feet, like 260, like big guy, very deep voice, big features. And so he was using an example of he called the woman close to him, and he was kind of like pushing her, but not like aggressive, but he was just walking toward her, and he was asking her why is she pushing back, and he was like, see, he's like if someone pushes toward you, you're gonna push back, and he was making a point about the Me Too movement, but that went over her head, right? And I went over Twitter's head because there is this video done by a news company, and I will leave them unnamed because I do know people who work there, and it is what it is, So I'm gonna leave them unnamed, but this video comes out of by this news outlet, and it basically I think it takes Tony Robbins out of context, right? So people freak out. Twitter freaks out after this video comes out, and everything just goes crazy. And now if you go on Twitter, man, people are saying all kinds of crazy things about Tony Robbins. Like I'm looking at it right now, man, and like nobody has this dude's back, man. And it's like they're taking him out of context. Like Huffington Post says, Tony Robbins attempted to characterize the Me Too movement's proponents as people who didn't take responsibility for their actions. He did not say that. That is not what he said. He was just saying, look at the other side. Because there are people who are using it for significance, like the woman who attacked Aziz Ansari for basically having a bad date, right? A bad dating experience now can be considered sexual harassment. And here's the crazy thing, right? Tony Robbins didn't even commit any sexual harassment or anything. He just made a point against the Me Too movement, not against the Me Too movement, but he criticized it. He critiqued it, which is what intelligent people do. You critique anything. And now, he's basically seen as the same as a sexual predator, almost. The way that people are attacking him and want him to ruin his career and disparaging him, I'm just like, wow, man. It's like, and it's frustrating to me because it does sound goofy when people are like, oh man, we can't even talk to women anymore, because of this Me Too movement. It used to be a joke, between me and my friend, honestly, and my friends. But now it really is getting to the point where it's like, wow, if you criticize the Me Too movement in any way, it's just like, you're done. You're done. And I don't think it should be that way. I definitely don't think it should be that way. Especially when nobody's even dying, right? A lot of these cases that I keep seeing in the media, first off, are all white women. And a lot of them aren't even like ridiculous cases of like assault. It's like, oh, I might have had a bad date with this guy, or I might have given him the illusion that I was into him, and so therefore our feelings got mixed up, and we had the wrong intentions, and he grabbed a boob and I grabbed his dick, and now I'm frustrated, and so I'm gonna burn his life. That's what that shit has become, but I don't think it should be that way. So he definitely, going back to kind of like how this whole thing played out, he definitely probably shouldn't have been physical with her, but I don't even think he was, but just because of the optics of it. But now it's like, look, he's a big guy, so why should he be punished for his masculinity and his biology? Isn't that what third wave feminists are against? With the whole thing about body positivity. So does body positivity only apply to obese women? End of the day, this woman was on a mission. Tony Robbins even says, he wants people to think differently, but she wants to drive home a point. She wants to drive home an agenda, basically. He even says, whatever you believe, continue to believe that, and you will continue to believe that when you leave this talk. But she keeps arguing. And my thing is like, what is she even arguing against? Like, she's coming there with a point, and I get it, but sometimes that's the difficulty when rational people are talking with emotional people, because she's definitely emotional. Not to say that she doesn't deserve to be emotional, but she's not using logic. He's speaking with logic, and she's not. And at the end of the day, honestly, people are critiquing him because he apparently cut her off or didn't listen to her, which he didn't. He did listen to her, but let's just assume that he did cut her off. It's his show anyway. It's whatever it is, that's his. So he has every right to cut her off if he wants to, right? Just like if somebody was acting up against Oprah, everybody would support Oprah doing whatever the heck she wants to do, right? So I'm going to leave that there. This ran on a bit longer than I thought that I wanted it to be, but oh well. If you guys like this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell, because YouTube is on some other stuff. And stay woke, everybody.